Alright guys, so we're going to do a quick video here on the Aful Explorer. So these are pretty nice IEMs that are quite dark, I would say, and very laid back. So this is the package it comes in, plastic wrapped. We got some more information there, 3.5 millimeter, and we're going to talk about that. And here's some random specs, and you can get it in 4.4, which you definitely should. So let's pull out the box. So it's quite nice. It's got a little texture to it, and it opens up like this. There's foam padding on the back of the lid. Get some documentation. And this is where your IEMs would be, which they're not in there because they are in this case, which also goes in here. And it's like a pod that zips. It's got a really nice texture. It's like leather. We've got the Aful brand there. The zipper is also pretty nice. And they got a little hook here to hook it to, you know, whatever you want, which is a nice touch. Zipper is actually pretty good. So here we have the IEMs. So mine actually shipped with these tips in there, and these were actually the best out of all the tips that are included. So we got these here, and then some regular white ones, and there's 3 sets, small, medium, and large. And also these here, I didn't like these as much as these, so not sure which ones would be best, but I normally prefer foam tips, which I did try foam tips with these headphones, and then it's way too dark. But yeah, the case is really nice. It's felted, and we got a little pocket here to put stuff in. Well, let's get to the IEMs. So first things first, these things are gorgeous. They look beautiful. There's like a galaxy, spacey, starry, sparkly faceplate there. So here we have the Explorer, and that's the right side. And the left side, we have the Aful logo. Same kind of design there. Very clean. And we've got a blue marking on this one, which is the left side. So these are quite small. They fit really good in my ears. And the nozzle does extend pretty well. So it's a good seal. And they're actually quite comfortable to lay around in, which is a huge plus. The cable is actually quite nice. It's pretty, you know, generic kind of, but it actually has a nice feel to it. It actually feels more premium than most cables I experience, especially at this price point. We got nice little like chrome or stainless steel hardware here. The cincher here works pretty good. Since this is soft, it could kind of move around, but it's not a big deal. Once it has some tension, it holds itself. Then we have the braided, it's basically just 2 wires, 3.5, also nicely done here on the thing with the Aful logo, gold plated. Pretty good cable. Now, the biggest issue with this cable, and it's not the cable itself obviously, is that it's 3.5 millimeters. You definitely want to go with the 4.4 because I tried a different cable like this one here, which is a 4.4, and these are actually Aful's Performer 8s, which probably not the best comparison here to the Explorer, but there's really nothing you can compare to the Explorer because they're so, well, I guess you could compare other things, but I don't have anything that is similar to this kind of sound signature. But yeah, if you change the cable to the 4.4, they come alive. They really, really want 4.4. And it's probably the voltage boost depending on, you know, how you're running them. So if you're going to run them from something like desktop, 3.5 actually works pretty good. But if you're going to run off of dongles like this one here, which is the Questal M15i, like this makes a huge difference for 4.4 or the 3.5. Now I do have a dongle that actually sounds really good, but it only has a 3.5 option. And this thing actually pushes really hard. It almost feels like it's a 4.4. I think it's set for higher voltages just to be more aggressive, but yeah, this is the 12 MI, also by Questal, and this thing actually works very well with the Explorers because it makes them really smooth. But still, 4.4 with the Explorer upgraded wire makes them come more alive, and you can hear the upper range much better. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about these except for my experience, which is I feel like depending on what you're looking for, these might be too dark, because I was thinking I'm going to use these like when I go to bed or just, you know, laying around, which they're really good. They give you that sense of really kind of not boomy but lower end kind of atmosphere, and the highs are really, you know, subdued. Now what they do very well is actually bass. Maybe not so much ultra low end textured bass, but or the sub bass, but more the lower end bass. It's very, very deep and comfortable, I guess I can say. Not like boomy, and I mean I guess it could be boomy depending on the song, but lower end kind of phones. So if you like lower end, not too much lower treble, these are pretty good. So the signature is just dark, if that makes any sense, with not much treble extension, but lots of good stuff on the lower end. Voices do come very full, kind of. Well, depending on the voice. Female voices, not so much. Still good, not great. Male voice is actually very good, like pretty pleasant to listen to. Basically, the bottom line is if you don't care too much what the sound is like, but you just want just like the slushy, soft, bassy, in a good way, not boomy, relaxing kind of sound, and you're not critically listening to it, these are great. Like they're quite impressive. I tend to lean towards more critical. Even when I'm relaxing, I'm still critically actively listening, I guess subconsciously maybe, I don't know. I always find these a little lacking in the department of detail retrieval / separation. It's just not there compared to other things. And I guess let's real quickly talk about other things. We'll go straight to the P8s here, Performer 8. So this is a completely different kind of IEM. Here we have 1 DD with 2 BAs. Here we have 1 DD with 7 BAs. So this is a whole different level here with the Performer 8. And this thing is definitely the opposite of this. So we're going to have less lower end, meaning it's still there, it's just not as pronounced because we have much more in the higher end. So these will outperform the Explorer by heaps and bounds when it comes to detail separation, and just the detail retrieval is incredible on these things, soundstage and whatnot else. So, and they can still sound smooth depending, you know, on the wiring and the DACs, the dongles, whatever. That's all going to play a huge role. But, you know, these are definitely clinical. But as clinical as they are, I can still enjoy these just for everything. It's got the critical, and it's also got the easygoing, relaxing. So they're not too critical, or they're not too standout. They're not too sparkly. They're very flat. So these are extremely flat, but they're more bassy flat. These are just flat, a little more emphasis on the higher end and the vocals. So yeah, the price difference is pretty large, but you know, depends what you're looking for. It might be worth the extra. Now another one here that we can compare that's actually on the budget side are these QKZ HBBs, which are 20 bucks, just a 10 millimeter dynamic driver. And with the cable upgrade, and also I use normally foam tips on here. There's nothing on here right now. These actually sound not like the Explorers, but they are more, I guess, normal sounding, if you want to say it that way. It's more boomy than the Explorer. Explorer is very soft and beautiful and just has a more elegant texture to it compared to something like this. These are just more direct and obvious what they are, and they sound really good, but they can be a little boomy. So I find myself having a little bit of trouble listening to these for all the different kind of songs, because if they're too punchy, this becomes a little annoying. So I usually have to EQ this to listen to it. Just a little reference there. One headphone that maybe competes, and we got a custom cable on this one here too, is the Defiant by Juizier. So these are Zeos collaboration headphones, and these are actually cheaper than the Explorers. You can pick these up for around 90, 80. They're retail at 100, I think. They're not as smooth, they're not as lush and relaxing as the Explorers, but they bring the sparkle that you want in just the right places, and they kind of emphasize the voice, and they're just balanced so well. I'm impressed every day that I listen to these. Like, I just throw them on and I'm happy. I don't know why. It's a weird thing. When I put the Explorers on, I'm kind of like always thinking about the sound, like I'm missing something. That's the feeling I get. With these, I feel like they're so much better balanced for what most people would want. But then again, they can be a little bright on certain tracks and whatnot else. Now, if you upgrade the cable, and again, you gotta use 4.4 on this because it changes the sound like crazy, and it's probably because of the higher ohm setup, kind of like the Explorer. You really want to go with 4.4 if you have the driver. They really change completely. But we'll talk about the Defiance in another video. But in my opinion, the Defiance is a much more approachable kind of phone that you will probably enjoy compared to the Explorer. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What I got, well, actually, no, here we have, I don't have any wires right now, but these are the Zen's T Pro. So these are probably the most nice IEMs that I have at the moment. These things really sing. So obviously these are going to up the Explorer in pretty much everything. And these are actually pretty bassy too, or similar to the Explorer, but these actually have some high end, meaning some higher frequencies, and even the middle higher frequencies are way more in this than the Explorer. And so we got 2 DDs and 6 BAs. So this thing, you know, is pretty much loaded with all kinds of sound, and it's obviously more technical and everything in between. So yeah, the Explorer is great, but if you listen to this, you would not want to go back to the Explorer in any circumstance that I can think of. So if you can spring for something like the Zens, the T Pros, probably the most similar but yet different, as they are bassy also, at least from what I have here. These never disappoint. They're not as exciting as the Performer 8 or even the Defiance. The Defiance are a little more exciting to listen to. But once you put these on, time will fly and you won't know where it went because it's so good. Like, once you get immersed into it, they're a little darker and they're a little bassier, kind of like the Explorer, but they have that dynamic richness and fullness that get immersed into. And the detail tail retrieval is also pretty good there. But yeah, to be completely honest, guys, I'm not hating on the Explorers at all. I just don't feel like they're for me. I can see where someone will definitely enjoy these. If you're very sensitive to treble, these are great. Like, they're incredible. And obviously tip rolling helps with adjusting your sounds. Most of the time I use foam tips, especially for this P8. It definitely needs foam tips, because if you put anything else, it's too shouty kind of, or at least for my taste. These with the foam tips are just too dull. And actually cables make differences too, not just the sizes but the quality of the cable. Like, once you start playing around with everything, it all, you know, basically you go in a big rabbit hole that you sometimes wished you never went into. Overall, I feel like they're great for what they are. Again, try to get the 4.4, even if you can run the 4.4. 3.5 is obviously very universal, and if that's what you need, that's fine. But if you want to squeeze everything out of these things, 4.4 with a good either dongle or DAC will do the trick for the Explorer. So yeah, I guess those are my thoughts overall. Not to make this video any longer. Overall, great IEMs. And if you're looking for that kind of sound signature that's more bassy, warm, and not very trebly, the Explorer might be the one for you. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Check out my other videos. Actually, I'm going to make more, as I haven't reviewed all my IEMs, but still listening to some of them. And I have a bunch of other videos with hi-fi stuff. So yeah, check that out, and I'll catch you in the next one.